So what we were doing for you guys who are listening later or are live on YouTube is if you guys go to pollev.com/AmySmith633, then you can help us participate in a poll that we're going to do here in just a little bit. Okay, so let me go back though for you guys who haven't met me. My name is Amy Smith. I'm the Bariatric Program Manager here at the hospital. I've been involved in bariatrics for about 10 years. But I like to start out with any updates in our programs that you guys know what's available to you as far as support. So we do have support group here in this room 3 times a month. We just finished yoga tonight. That's monthly. We also have monthly cooking classes once a month. We just changed it to the first Wednesday of every month. So in October, it'll be the first Wednesday. Longstreet Clinic had some support groups on that night. So just wanted to increase the openness so that other people can come. But some other things that we have added recently to our program, up here on the left you see a recipe wall. This is upstairs in Suite 260. You guys are welcome when we're done with our discussion to come and follow me upstairs. You can check out recipes, you can go shop in the clothing closet, whatever. I've got vitamin samples up there as well. So the recipes are all based off of our cooking classes that we've done over this last year. I hope to have that entire wall filled up by the end of this year with all the recipes that we've done. We usually do 2 or 3 recipes every time. Our dietitian that is based here in the hospital program is Giselle. So she specializes in counseling people in weight loss, but also after weight loss surgery. And so if you guys don't know, if you've already seen your surgeon and your dietitian in the office, but you need more frequency, you need to see a dietitian, you can come see Giselle for free as many times as you need to. That's a benefit of our program of having surgery here. But in addition to that, Giselle is also culinary trained, so she's also a chef, so she's been teaching our classes. We actually have a guest chef coming in October, so I'm interested to see what kind of dynamic that brings to the table. The Bariatric Boutique, as you can see here, is something new we added about 6 weeks ago. The Bariatric Boutique is completely formed out of donations, and so these are clothes that has been donated, gently used, and we have anywhere from 5X down to a small. We do have a men's section, and we recently added a shoe and a scarf section. We've got a small assortment of, costume jewelry and different things like that. So excited to see some folks take advantage of that and also to donate. So as I've been seeing patients in the hospital right after surgery, I've been trying to tell people right away, because those are the folks that are going to donate so that as people brand new are coming in, we'll later be able to take advantage of those sizes, right? So that's pretty cool. Something else to put on your radar that I don't have a picture of is our annual patient celebration. And so I've got a meeting this week with both the Longstreet Clinic and the NGPG program to begin planning our patient celebration. I do know that it will be in February. There will soon be released save the date, but this is going to be a beautiful evening where our patients can come and bring either their spouse or a significant other, whoever their support person was, dress up if you like. We'll have a photographer there to take pictures. We'll have dinner. We'll have the surgeons there. And so lots of planning to do before we get there for the details of that, but I'm excited to have that. It will be at Linear Tech, which is just maybe not even a mile away from here. They've got a beautiful conference center, the Ramsey Conference Center, gorgeous room. I've just booked the DJ for the evening as well. He is fun. I've done events like this with him in the past for bariatric surgery patients, and he is just a ball of fire. He's awesome. He gets people excited. I think one of the things I love most about Joshua and what he does at an event like this is he wears a headset, and if you don't know the dance and you're interested in learning, he will teach you as you go. He'll be like, you don't know this one? Come on, get out here, let me show you, and he'll teach you as you go. So he's a lot of fun. I really, that's what I told him. I said that's the number one thing I remember from the last event that he attended with me, so that's awesome. A couple of the other things, if anybody's interested, this is something that I just started implementing. We just created a pre-op class, so for people who are about to have surgery. And so as I'm teaching that class, I also am now offering, we have the weight cards that we've had now for in the back there where you signed in, and that's where you can put the date, your weight, but your measurements, your hip and waist measurements. So I'm offering that for pre-op folks right before they have surgery, but I'm always happy to do it for you guys as well. So after support group, we can go up. The other thing I have, which doesn't look like much on here, but the photo wall. So you see the laurel leaf from the hospital on there. So I'm starting to offer that for patients as well, so they can get a starting picture and then follow-up pictures as they go along, but in the same space. And so if anybody's interested in that, I'm happy to do that tonight as well. Trying to think if there's anything else. Facebook, I can't believe I forgot about Facebook, but Facebook is new. It's been up for maybe 4 or 5 weeks at this point. We're up to somewhere around 140 something patients on there. If you haven't already joined, there's a flyer in the back. You can either QR code scan it on your smartphone, or you can search us on NGMC, Northeast Georgia Medical Center Bariatrics at Facebook, and it will actually take you to a questionnaire. So there's like 5 questions. It's just asking, are you one of our patients? Do you promise to be positive, and that sort of thing, and that way we can accept you. And so patients have been posting on there. We've been posting on there. We've had a good time. There's been some fun things posted on there, but there's been some really serious things that have been posted on our Facebook page that are saying, hey, I don't know if you've struggled with anxiety or depression, or I don't know if you've struggled with alcoholism after weight loss surgery. I mean, some really serious things. And so this is a great forum where our patients can openly talk about struggles, but you guys can also get support, whether it be from our team or from each other. I know somebody the other day was like, all right, it's my first day of my pre-op liquid diet, and people are like, you got it, you know. So able to get some support from each other as well. And then if you guys don't know, we do live stream everything on YouTube, so you can subscribe to that. It's NGMC Bariatrics on there as well. So we had folks come and do yoga with us tonight, and if you've never done that before and you want to kind of pre-screen it before you come, check us out on YouTube, and you can take a free yoga class on YouTube and just kind of see what it's all about, you know. So tonight, y'all, it's all about stress. Stress, can you imagine? We all face stress, right? And stress can be anything from little things to major life-changing things in our life, and doesn't matter which direction we go or who we are, we all experience stress from some level or another every single day. And the question is, what do we do with that stress? How do we handle it? Do we handle it in healthy ways? Do we handle it in ways that those around us like? You know, and what do we do to learn different ways? So tonight, my hope is to expose you to different ways to deal with stress. Have an open mind. Some of these things you're going to be like, yeah, I'm never totally never going to do that. But at least it's exposing you to something different, and lots of different suggestions or ways that are proven to help not only reduce your stress, but to help you physically not hold on to that stress and impact your body. So let me see if this little YouTube video will play from me sitting here, or if I'll have to get up. Let's see what happens. We have to deal with ads here too, really? That was funny. See what stress does? Oh dear. Totally killed the sticker, huh? So have you guys ever experienced that? Not being able to sleep or sleep disturbances because of stress?
Absolutely. Who gets 7.5 hours?
Right?
I know.
Let's see, we'll close that one for now.
Yes, I can.
But I did have all the skin stuff going on really bad. And then we made a point in our house to read.
Yeah.
At 10 o'clock every night, which is really early. I go to bed at like 2 or 3. We get 4 hours sleep a night. But this was the goal. Start reading at 10. I might read till 2, and I don't love reading. But I did it for a month, and we both tried really hard. My husband and I tried really hard to sleep and get sleep. And my skin it completely changed. I was like, oh my gosh. I didn't do it for that reason. I was just doing it for sleep and stress. But sleep is huge to me. If I could sleep, I'm a different person.
How do you feel if you're only sleeping 4 hours a night?
I think I just go on adrenaline all the time. Like, I think I've just gone on adrenaline for so much of my life.
I can't stay awake.
Huh?
I can't stay awake
Yeah.
if I get 4 hours sleep.
Yeah. I
I've
can
been
stay
on
awake.
both sides. I've been alive and sleep all the time, and then I've been where
You can't sleep.
I can't sleep.
Oh. Mhm.
For different reasons, I guess. It's not necessarily stress all the time. I think it was when I had anemia real bad, that's when I couldn't wake up. That's all the time.
Mm-hmm.
As soon as I sat down, I'd go to sleep.
Was that before surgery or after?
It was after surgery.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I was anemic before surgery, just the surgery made it worse.
Made it worse, yeah.
Yeah.
So do you guys all get your blood work done regularly? So something to share is that we've been doing a study here in our program about lab work and how compliant patients are with lab work. And what I have found is patients tend to be very compliant right after surgery, right? Because you're scared. You're like, well, I don't want anything to happen, right? But by the time patients reach about 1 year, they start to fall off, not only with following up with their surgeon, but getting their blood work done. And a lot of patients believe that if they go for their physical with their primary care doctor, that they're drawing blood, so they must be checking it, right? But they're not. They're usually doing like a CBC. They might do a CMP to get like your electrolytes, but they're missing the majority of the things that our patients are at very high risk for developing over time. And really, you know, we talk about the gastric bypass being the one that is malabsorptive, but in my experience, I've seen a lot of sleeve patients struggle with iron deficiency and vitamin D, in particular, the top two for the
That's the main
sleeve.
reason why I did the sleeve, because I was already vitamin D deficient and iron deficient.
Yep.
So I didn't want to get
Even worse, right? And so what studies show is that the blood work really doesn't show a lot of new happenings unless you already had something pre-existing until about 2 to 5 years after having weight loss surgery. And guess what's happening by then? People aren't going sometimes, right? But people quit going to their bariatric surgeon. And so that's one of the big things that I really want to educate people on before surgery, so that they're very aware and so that you guys know that you need to be asking. So it doesn't matter to me where you get your blood drawn, but you need to be having these discussions with your primary care if you're not going to your bariatric surgeon, but specifically the ones that you need to have ordered, which is a completely separate test. They don't normally check for this. Is you need to have a ferritin level drawn that checks for your iron deficiency. It's very specific. It's Ferritin, a ferritin level. Your vitamin D, which the one for weight loss surgery patients that we really look for is vitamin D, and it's OH25 is the one that we really need to check. B12, which that's just a regular B12, right? But some other things that are showing is, believe it or not, zinc and copper deficiencies. And again, that's really not seen until 2 to 5 years out after surgery. And most primary care doctors, they don't know that, and it's not that they're there's anything wrong with them not knowing. This isn't their specialty, but they don't think to check that. Calcium is another one, but usually if you get like I think it's a CMP, I think it includes calcium in there. So just some things to know that you really need to pay attention to. Now B12 is one of those that if you take B12, it's a water-soluble vitamin, so you really can't overdose on it. You can take it, and if you take too much, it's going to come out in your urine. But vitamin D is one of those that is fat-soluble, and so your body will store it, and you can take too much vitamin D. But to your point, if you start to regain weight after surgery, then you, as patients, can regain. Sometimes they're holding on to more or less, and it can mess up your vitamin levels there too. So,
Well, so I had it in 2014, and I did not realize, taking the calcium and D3, and I did not realize that I was having an issue. And I went for bone density, and on the scale of 3, she said I was a 2.75 in my hips.
yeah.
So they did the infusion,
Mm-hmm.
and one of the things they said with the infusion is you want to look out for strokes. Well, I had that in, say, I think it was July, and in October, I don't know what happened to me, but I called 911.
Mm-hmm.
So I spent 24 hours in the hospital, and guess what they told me?
Mm-hmm.
The only thing they could find after all these tests, I had high levels of D3.
Hmm.
So I had the infusion, and I was taking a D3 prescription.
Right.
So now I'm not taking D3.
Yeah.
I don't have the pain, but they only check it every 2 years.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah. They should be able to code it as history of deficiency to get, to run it through insurance and things like that.
but should I get that through the GYN or through the medical doctor? Because the GYN's the one that
Yeah.
caught it. And
Yeah.
let me tell you, it's hard having the infusion.
Mhm.
It changed me,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm not in pain, and I didn't realize I was in so much pain in my hips.
Mm-hmm. So, my answer is always going to be check with your bariatric surgeon, because if you haven't been in a while, that now's the time to go.
I haven't been since I had surgery.
Uh-huh. And so here's the thing, is what happens is as people get further and further along, especially if they've gained, they don't want to go back,
That's me.
right? And why? Because you're afraid. You're afraid of what they're going to say. You're afraid. Some people are afraid that they're going to shame them. They're embarrassed to go back. But in all actuality, your team wants you to come. Like, we want you to come,
Well, the first time I went back, I
Yeah.
hadn't lost as much weight as they wanted me to, and they're like,
Yeah.
"Are you diabetic?" and all that. And I'm like, "No, I'm not.
Yeah.
I just,
Mm-hmm.
I plateaued, and
Yeah.
I didn't lose as much as they thought I should,
Mm-hmm.
and now I'm creeping back up some."
Mm-hmm. But when you start to creep back up, that is really one of the most important times to get back in the program.
I will go.
So I'm happy that you're here. I'm glad that you're here. As far as your question about who to draw your blood work, it doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter. Now, if you go to the bariatric surgeon, then you're going to be certain that everything that you need to have drawn is going to be checked. But if you go to your primary care or your GYN, you just need to have a good list. And that's what I'm working with the offices on.
I think what happened was I went and got my blood drawn for the surgeon, and there was some confusion on reading it and everything, and I just gave up. I said,
Yeah.
that's it. Because you got to go to a certain lab and all that good stuff
Mhm.
to make sure that I'm not paying a couple $100 out of my pocket.
Sure, yeah.
So I will attempt to do it again.
Okay. And you can always call the nurse in the bariatric program too and just say, hey, I'm about to go get my blood work. What do I need? And she may say, hey, I'd love to see a copy of it so that we can keep track of you and that sort of thing. But yeah, they'll help you.
Thanks.
Well, I've gone and gotten one, except for this year I haven't gone yet.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't have people talk to me about it. I mean, because you're getting it through your primary care.
Right.
So you're not really knowing.
Who is seeing it? Yeah, and really,
I've asked them to send it to Dr. Wynn each time.
yeah, I hope that they did. Give Leslie a call
Okay.
over at the office because she can pull it up and she can see if they've gotten those
Okay.
those results or not.
So this is something you guys can look for, because we did not know
Mm-hmm.
what to look for.
Yeah.
And what foods are vitamin D, OH25?
So that's the lab. That's the
Yeah.
lab to get
So
drawn.
it's just vitamin D.
But
vitamin D.
usually things that have calcium in it are fortified with vitamin D. The best way that you can get vitamin D is from things like salmon And honestly, from being out in the sun.
Okay.
From being out in the sun. And usually they'll say, even if it's 5 or 10 minutes without sunscreen, I'm very sensitive to sun, but even just 5 or 10 minutes without sunscreen on, your skin absorbs it into your body.
Okay.
And that's why a lot of us are deficient, because we live inside.
Yeah.
You know? So this is actually something from the Cleveland Clinic, and I've got little bits and pieces I'm going to sprinkle throughout here. And so really my hope is that maybe you take one or two things away from tonight, right? So eat and drink sensibly, right? To nourish your body can help to reduce stress. Avoid unhealthy habits. I chose to word this differently because basically it said don't smoke cigarettes and things like that. But our patients shouldn't be smoking anyway, right? Because it increases the risk of developing gastric ulcers. So I just said avoid unhealthy habits. We know what those things are. Physical activity with realistic goals. And so I really don't like the word exercise because it has a negative connotation. But what we do here tonight, that's exercise. It's stretching, right? It's getting balance and things like that. So it doesn't matter if it's taking your dog for a walk, it's hiking. My husband loves to hunt. He'll go hike up all these big hills in the mountains. That's what he likes to do. He doesn't think of it as physical activity, but it gets his heart rate up and breathing up. So whatever it is, one guy said he liked to golf. You know, somebody liked to go fishing, but he walked around the lake and, you know, different things like that. So whatever that physical activity is for you. Relaxation techniques, which we're going to talk about a few of those tonight. Control what you can. And what they meant by this is you can't control everything, but what can you control and focus on that, because the other things you got to let go of if you can't have control over those things. Reduce stressors. What does that one mean?
Say no.
Saying no, right?
Say no more.
Don't over obligate yourself. Don't be that person that is always a people pleaser, but to your own, you know, to your own dismay. Something I read behind the scenes on this one too is letting go of stressful people that stress you out or that have a negative influence on you, or a negative, you know, just negative people altogether that are rubbing off on you sometimes. I think another one that it mentioned in here too was not being prepared, but not procrastinating. Like planning ahead so that you're not stressed out at the last minute, thinking ahead of what you need to do so it's not right at the very last minute to get things done. And sell yourself to yourself. And what they said about that was talk to yourself about the things that you're doing good, right? Try to reduce your stress by giving yourself credit for the things that you've done well. Whether that is taking the stairs instead of taking the elevator, whether it is skipping the dessert, or making sure that you're getting enough protein in, or checking to get your vitamins done, right? Give yourself credit. So this one is actually a video from the Cleveland Clinic, and this one it says take a breath, but the other thing I got out of this one is give yourself permission to take care of you. Because you can't be the best version of you, and you can't take care of others as well as you could if you don't take care of yourself first, right? So when you're sitting on the airplane and they're giving you the whole safety spiel, you remember when that part of the airplane ride when they say, and when the oxygen stuff comes down, you put yours on first. Because you've got to put yours on first so you don't pass out and you can help somebody else, right? We'll see how many ads we get with this one.
Stress can be healthy. Stress can be healthy to get you through in the short term, to get you through.
Now I got two playing. Hang
out
on.
in the woods, but long term, chronic stress is just not healthy.
We have come to a point where the demands of what is needed from us in our jobs and our day-to-day lives really seems to supersede a lot of other things. But it's also very important that we take time for ourselves.
You know, we're all addicted to email and phone, and like weekends, for instance, I try to put it on a table and walk away, right? So sometimes it's nice to just sort of be free of all electronic interference.
We have this tendency to sacrifice our own well-being at times because we feel like we have to take care of everybody else, but at the end of the day, unless you're taking care of yourself, you're not going to be able to be effective in taking care of others.
So what does that make you guys think of? Does that ring true for you? As far as having to think about taking care of yourself?
The electronic part, definitely. I turn off my phone Friday night, turn it on Monday morning often. I'll take a weekend at least every couple of months and do that. The whole family knows.
That's hard to
They
do.
can call
Mhm.
my husband if there's an emergency, if somebody died, but they don't have to call me otherwise. It is hard to do, but I work all the time. It's 24/7. So, I have to do that.
See, it used to be that you would go to a job from 8 to 5 or whatever and walk out and leave. Then they put these on to everybody.
Yep. And what else is on there? Email.
And you can eat up a lot of time.
Can. Tell you what drives me crazy is the notifications from apps.
Yes.
So on my kids' school now, they've got all the parents, everybody needs to be, linked in and know what's going on. So I'll be at work and I'll get like, this person made this grade and that person made that grade, and it's like, oh my gosh. I can look at that later, but notifications will drive you nuts, right? Mm-hmm. What else? Anything else? So here's where we have the poll everywhere, and if it doesn't work with the cell phones, then we'll go from there. But let's see if we can get it to work. My mouse is down here.
I love technology sometimes. Now, if I had to do this all the time, that might be a different story.
Okay, so if this works, if you can get the poll everywhere back on your phone, this question is, what causes you stress? What kind of things cause you stress? It's different for everybody. And we do have somebody on YouTube, so if you guys want to play too. Cool. Yep. So eating can be stressful. Or figuring out what you're going to eat, or planning what you're going to eat, or going somewhere where they don't have something that you should eat. All right? Anything else on food? You can see that. Oh gosh, look at all these stressors, y'all. You're stressing me out from the stressors. So hectic schedules, I definitely get that. Kids, money, worries, broken clients, work is stressful, right? Relationships, let's see, impatient,
Why did it line up like that?
addiction. Every time somebody puts another word in, it reframes it. Let's see if there's anything new on this. There's a lot of things that cause stress. Family. Isn't that interesting that family and kids, like our own family, stress us out? Right? Okay.
Nobody put work up there, did they?
So somebody put food or eating up there a second ago, so I'm interested in this next question. It should be live on your phones. It says, what are some new post-op life stressors? So since surgery, and if it's been a while since surgery, years since surgery, what are some things that are causing you stress about it now? Right? Because before surgery, everybody thinks it's going to be unicorns and rainbows and everything's going to be awesome, but it doesn't fix everything, right? Yep. Maintaining diet. Embarrassment, that could be from many different things. Not feeling satisfied, family, friends. And new coping skills, learning something new can be stressful, or creating a new habit can be stressful. The big scale, right? The dreaded scale, yep. Those are all valid. Other people watching what you eat. So the food police. Yeah.
Just a
Son's
little
food police.
suggestion.
Huh?
My son's a food police.
Is it?
Oh,
They ask
yeah.
you, should you be eating that?
Yeah, all my kids do that really bad. I have one that's really, really bad. He's horrible.
Well, you know, I didn't tell everybody I was having the surgery, and I went to see my best friend, and when I went to see her, she shocked me, and I really regretted telling her about it, because she's like, we hate skinny, you know, bees. And I'm by no means skinny, but, you know, we've always been friends through eating. I mean, I've known her since September 18th, 1972. And it just really crushed me, and I was like, darn, why did I say anything? Because then it's, you know, try just one bite of ice cream. And then I paid for it, you know, I was definitely ill. And then like, see, I told you, you're going to be going in there and throwing up. I said, no, I'm not throwing up, but I'm really ill right now, and it'll pass in about an hour, you know. So I think for some families it's okay to, you know, let everybody know so that they support you, but it's really shocking how some people will react. I didn't think I was going to go through that. It hurt my feelings.
It sounded like she was trying to sabotage you, you know, because she felt bad about herself.
Yeah, and she didn't mean to.
Yeah. Yep. What symptoms do you feel of stress? And in this one, what I'm looking for is, do you physically realize when you're stressed? And if so, what physical symptoms of stress do you feel? What makes you go, I'm stressed? So pain all over, wanting to eat, that's that mental hunger, right? Headaches, constantly feeling tight, and they say in your neck and your shoulders, right? Sometimes on your chest if you're really that stressed out, angry, shopping. So, you know, we were talking earlier about alcoholism, but what can happen in weight loss surgery patients is they can go, some people, from a food addiction to another type of addiction. And so what that reminded me of is shopping. For some people, shopping can become an addiction for them too, because it's something else. Can't sleep, short temper, I don't breathe. All the carbs. The short temper, and that just reminds me about the other slide when we were talking about kids and family being stressors, but then we lose our temper sometimes with the people that we're closest to when we're stressed. Yep.
This is where I've been for like a month, I feel like.
Yeah.
Still.
With the cravings.
Yeah. And then just the anger and then, yeah. Very timely.
Yep. Lazy, fatigued. So this one may be easy for you to put those words to, right? So the physical effects of stress on our body, but then there's the emotional stress that we feel. And what does that look like for you? What does that emotional stress look like? Which weight loss surgery can lead to hair loss for a lot of people anyway, right? But stress, I guess it could for some people. I know around 6 to 9 months right after surgery with either one of the procedures is when typically you'll see the peak of hair loss. And really, it is because the stressor causes the hair follicles to go into like a sleep mode because they've got like a life cycle of growing and regenerating or whatever, but it puts it like in a sleep cycle, so you really don't have new baby hairs growing during that phase. So depending on how much hair you have, that can be a big issue, but usually between 12 to 18 months you'll see a difference to where you don't notice it as much. Crying at commercials, alienating, so keep it to yourself instead of getting those feelings out, confused, withdrawn. So there's a lot of that, keeping it inside, not sharing it. And is that healthy? Right? Everybody deals with things in a different way. Yep. There's one more before we go to the next section. I counted that, right? What common ways do most people deal with stress? This can be you, this can be people around you, but what's the most common thing? Alright? I'm stressed out, this is what I'm going to do. This is how I'm going to deal with it. And a lot of times not a healthy response, right? Eating, drinking, talking, maybe talking about others, shopping, there's that shopping again. A drink, how many times you've heard people say, I gotta have a drink. Cookies. TV, yep. Yelling. Some people sleep it off. Just go to sleep. Block it out. For 4 hours.
Sleep
for 2 days.
I know. I could sleep for 2 days.
Fighting.
Fighting, yeah. Oh yeah, fighting's good. That's a good word.
Walking. Walking. So this one is talking about, instead of what stress does to your body, right? Because that other one was talking about it makes your blood pressure go up, it makes your heart rate go up, it makes you not sleep well. It really impacts your body. It talked about GI upset, it talked about skin effects and things like that. So now we're going to flip it around, and this time, this is from the Cleveland Clinic, talks about relaxation's response. So upon activation, the body's relaxation response produces slower and deeper breathing, a decreased heart rate, a drop or stabilization in blood pressure, activation of healing properties throughout your body, which, remember, stress can help make you get sick sooner because you'll have a lower threshold of immunity, muscle relaxation, increases energy and focus, and helps in combating illness. So relaxation is healthy for your body. But in our society, everything's go, 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 go. You got to make time for that sort of thing, right? Did you guys notice that a lot of the yoga was the deep breathing and the relaxing, and everybody loved the end where you're just laying there and your eyes are closed and you got the little whatever it was that she put on our face, and you can breathe that essential oil in it. What was it, did she say?
Frankincense and myrrh.
Oh, interesting. Huh, I wouldn't have guessed that. Okay, lavender is a very popular one too, right, for relaxation. So, I have so many gadgets tonight, I'm losing them. So this is one, and you guys can do this any way you want. I have lotion, but this is hand massage. And you can either do it to each other, you can do it to yourself, but it's a very short video that teaches you a way that you can perform hand massage. And I bring this one to you because it's different. Not many people have thought about doing hand massage before, but I can tell you that when I was a nurse manager over at the hospital, I had lots and lots of staff, and for our techs that really had a lot of physical labor, I did this for them on Tech Week, and we gave hand massages, and it was the best. Like, they were like, oh my gosh, I'm so relaxed. But you can either do it to yourself. I'm gonna pass this around if you want lotion. It will not hurt my feelings if you don't take it. But I'm gonna show you this video because it shows you some techniques that even if you're stressed out and you're in a meeting, you can do it under the table and nobody will have any idea. It's so beautiful, it's so beautiful. Hey, baby. I keep double clicking, that's my problem. Reminded me of too when she was doing this, people wring their hands when they're stressed out and they're worried anyway, and it almost makes you think, is this your body's own way of soothing itself?
That's
you
an
know?
observation. Trouble sleeping at night, you could do this to them. I've got a 12-year-old that when I was doing this in the hospital was maybe 10, and he wanted me to start doing this every night because you can start up here and you can just work your way down almost like milking the fingers, and we have lotion on it, just kind of slides and massage the inside of the hand like she's going to do here, but it really does relax you, so whether you do it to yourself or somebody else.
down is what she's showing you now. But once you get done with the whole hand, especially if you're doing it to somebody else, you can also take your hand at the wrist and start to pull downward. It's really relaxing if you're able to do it to somebody else, or they can do it to you too. But I tell you, when my techs left that room, they were like, oh my gosh, I'm so relaxed. Like, that's the whole point. Alright, so that's one idea. Let's see what else we had in here. So this one came from the American Heart Association, not that one, this one. And it talks about counting. We've all heard this before, count before you speak, especially if you're angry, right? So count to 10 before you speak or react. Take a few slow, deep breaths. And if you notice, one of the things that she did in yoga was she would have us take really slow, deep breaths. And they say if you take a deep breath over 3 or 4 seconds and you take a deep breath in, you take a deep breath out, it slows your heart rate, it helps you to think. And actually, I recently took a self-defense class. I took my daughter over in the county that we live in, and one of the things that they talked about was that when you encounter your attacker, before you hit them, take a deep breath in. And the reason they said that is because when your adrenaline is going and you're stressed out, if you take that deep breath in, it signals to your brain, okay, reduce some of that adrenaline, help me focus, let me get the energy back to my muscles so that I can actually be effective in what I'm about to do. So deep breathing was a big deal. Go for a walk, even if it's just like a quick walk. You know, sometimes you get frustrated. Sometimes you have to leave the situation and just go walk and come back. Meditation, prayer for some people. If it's not urgent, sleep on it. Have you ever been stressed out about a decision and you just went ahead and reacted on it, and then you're like, I wish I had waited? That's something, as I have matured a little more through the years, I've learned that not everything has to have an urgent answer right now, and maybe I just need to sleep on it. Maybe I need to think about it a little more. Yep, so there's the walk away from the situation. Break down big problems into smaller parts. So if something feels really overwhelming, that goes back to what do you have control over? But also, can you see that big issue? Can you break it down into smaller parts that seems more manageable? Turn on some music. A lot of people find relaxation in music. Some people listen to music, you know, like really loud music. Some people listen to emotional music. Whatever that connection is for you, it does completely change your mood a lot of times. Take a break. Take your dog for a walk. Pet therapy is huge. You know, there are studies that have been done, whether it's a cat or a dog, and you're just sitting there petting it. It can reduce your blood pressure. It just calms you down. And then there's that word for exercise again, or physical activity. So I know that we did a whole yoga class. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this, but one position that she did not do tonight, she did the forward fold where you reach down, but this one is called ragdoll, and our other instructor, Tessa, that is actually on maternity leave, she does this one quite a bit. But if you can get your head below your heart, it reduces your heart rate and it reduces your level of stress. And so what you see her doing here is bending down. So she goes all the way down, then she holds her arms like this, and then she actually lets her body sway from side to side. And if you can do that for 3 or 4 breaths, slow deep breaths in, slow deep breaths out, child's pose is a good one. Let me see if she's, I don't think she even says anything in this video. I'll probably double click.
Check that your toes point straight ahead. Bring your hands to your hips and bring your hands to your hips and feel your spine lengthen. Feel your spine lengthen.
Oh, good night.
Exhale, soften your knees, draw your abs in and fold forward from the hip joints with a flat back. Cross your arms, hold on to your elbows and relax in ragdoll. Sway gently from side to side to create some space in the pelvis.
So that's basically it. You're just leaning forward. Again, the goal is to get your heart below, your head down there below your heart so that you're relaxing your body. Okay, so this one is another one that came from the American Heart Association. And these are just simple things that you can do. There's the listening to music again, there's take a walk in nature, take a relaxing bath, meditate, practice yoga, work in the garden. I don't remember who it is in support group, but there's one lady that says whatever's going on, there's always weeds to pull. And she'll go pull some weeds, you know. Home improvement project, people think I'm nuts. I love to paint. I love to do tile work. I love to lay tile. People are like, really? It's work. Yeah, it's work. But to me, it's like a mindless, I can just get in there and do it, and I'm accomplishing something, but I'm really not having to worry about anything else, right? Play with your kids or pets, sewing, knitting, jewelry, anything that can get your hands moving and you focusing on something else. For some people, it's some sort of sport, golf, tennis, basketball. Meet a friend, right? So before somebody said talking, but sometimes for people it can be a huge stress reliever just to get it out, right? And some people will say, I just need to just dump that information out. And it can be to somebody who's not in that situation. If it's a work issue, talk to somebody who's not at work. But getting that information out, even if it isn't to solve the problem, but rather just to get it out of you and just to feel that acknowledgement of, I hear you, or I can see how that could be frustrating, just acknowledgement of how that feels. I'm jumping all over the place, but read a book, work on scrapbooking, paint, color. There's a lot of adult coloring books out there, and some people are like, I'm too old for that, but some people really love that. I actually had a patient a couple of years ago that was involved in a big trauma, and this guy was a big burly man. He was a tattoo artist for a living, and he was going through a ton of life changes and stressors, and the only thing that made him feel better was to literally sit there and color. And it was very detailed, intricate things that he was coloring, and he would have a full conversation with you. He just wouldn't look at you. He would just sit there and just do this and change colors, but that's what got him in his zone. So everybody's different. It impacts people differently, not only stress, but how to deal with it. And then before we run out of time, the very last one is on mindful meditation. And for some people, this may feel silly, but really this is just taking a moment for yourself. There's all kind of apps on your phone nowadays that can guide you through some meditation, but it's really about sitting there, being in the moment, taking deep breaths, and just trying to clear your mind. And so there's all kind of apps that will guide you through that, whether it's imagery or it is systematically like relaxing your muscles. You know, they say again, your neck and your shoulder muscles are really what holds your stress. So a lot of different things. So we've had a lot to talk about tonight. The very last poll everywhere, if I can find wherever we left off. Let's see. Well, anyways, I don't find the one that I was looking for. The one I was looking for is, what did you take away from this? Is there any one thing that you think that you could try this week that might help you with stress?
For me, it's getting back into exercising. My husband had open heart surgery, and just, things keep rolling along, and you're like, you freeze when something like that's going on, and it's sudden.
Yeah.
And you put yourself second on every level.
Yeah. And what happens to the food choices that you make during that time too?
Oh,
Right?
yeah.
Right? Makes it hard.
Yeah, I have to agree with exercising, but I don't know that's, I'm searching for something that I can implement instead of making the bad choice in that immediate,
Moment.
yeah. That's what I'm struggling with so much. I don't know.
Yeah. Trying to find something to replace that with.
Yeah, I mean, I went like smokeless tobacco, but then that causes problems too. So quit that. But I mean, and it was bizarre how much that helped me. I mean, my attitude improved. I mean, just having that my hunger went away, it just didn't, but it again causes other problems, so I quit it, but then I go back to making poor food choices. Just those cravings, so, I don't know.
I noticed that was a big deal for smoking. I smoked a long time ago, but I loved it because I stopped and I went outside and I took some deep breaths. Okay, I was smoking nicotine, but the point is I was stopping and I was breathing, and I never breathed. I held my breath all the rest of my life except for when I was smoking. And I realized that whenever I stopped, I'm like, I really missed that. So the breathing thing is huge. It sounds really stupid because I'm in the middle of the day and I don't want to stop and take a breath in the middle of the store. They're gonna look at me like I'm crazy.
I don't care as long as it helps.
I know, but
Yeah, but I have to breathe.
But the
That's
breathing
where I am. I
is
don't
huge.
care if it's helping me. I don't care what anybody else says.
Yeah. But yeah, the breathing thing was huge for me. Because I think it's true. I think smoking is a huge thing for people because they stop and they're actually breathing. I know that the nicotine is there, but it's not the nicotine. It's the stopping and breathing. Some of it really is the stopping and breathing, more than the nicotine. But
Because if you're anxious, you're holding your breath.
I know. It's true.
So it sounds like for you, it is searching for something to fill the void that food used to
Yeah.
be, right? Yeah.
For sure.
Do you like coffee?
I had quit and I hadn't been drinking any. Pretty impressive, but I've just started drinking a little decaf every once in a while.
I love to drink coffee.
Yeah, I used to drink it. I would drink 3 cups a day. I was big drinker, but I quit everything. I quit alcohol, quit everything.
Yeah.
So I've had a lot of post stress with had to get a pacemaker and got to get my gallbladder out next Monday. So just a lot of
Unexpected things.
yeah.
Piling on.
Yeah.
That's a lot of fun.
So then I'm just then you just compound because I'm making bad choices.
Mm-hmm.
It just gets real frustrating.
I kind of like where you were going though, because you were trying to help him find something
Yeah.
else that wouldn't be
Quick.
bad, right?
Just quit. Yeah.
Yeah.
Everything is quick, but I did start doing coffee. We just bought an espresso machine, so I would stop and I turn my phone off, I turn everything off in the house, and I stop and I drink my coffee for like 15 minutes. And it's decaf, and I do the Fairlife because it's like 12 milligrams of protein,
Yeah.
12 grams of protein or whatever, but still, that's a huge thing. But that's time consuming, and you have to have time to do it. If you're looking for something in the middle of the day, that's what's hard,
Mm-hmm.
If you're used to doing this during the middle of the day, how am I going to reduce this? We have all these things.
I know they mentioned this earlier, but have you tried a podcast at all?
I listen to a lot to podcasts.
That's not something I really had done until recently, and I can't believe I'm saying this. For years of my whole life, I've heard people say, if you're stressed, go take a walk, and I would be like, that's the last thing I'm going to do. But I've started walking every morning at like 4:30 in the morning, and I can't even believe I'm doing that. But now I find that I miss it if I don't do it, and it really does make a difference. It really has made a difference for me. I can't believe I'm doing it, but
Yeah, I like walking. I could do both of them together.
I see other people have, I went through a traumatic situation recently where they upgraded our software on our Apple Watches.
Yeah.
And so it threw my Apple Watch off. And so I would do my normal walk, and I wasn't closing my readings each day, so that made me a crazy person calling Apple. What's going on? So yeah, so it was like unpair and repair your watch, it'll straighten down, it did, but I didn't realize I've never been a person who cared about those kinds of things like rings, but I wanted my rings closed.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, that's great. Do you have an animal?
Yeah, I do.
You do? Our animals have too.
All right, guys. If anybody wants to come upstairs to the clothing closet, I'll be there.
See your